Season 2, Episode 33 starts now. I'm your host, Brandon Davis, joined today by Aaron Perrine.
Big old show. Let's get it. Let's go.
Jenna Anderson.
Hey, everybody. I'm not going to sing or stretch out my words like the two of you, but yeah, it's a chunky show. Very excited.
That's right, chunky show. We got Jamie Jirac.
10 a.m. 10 a.m.
Woo! Jamie loves that hour later start time. We love Thursdays. Why not? The West Coast is alive and well at this hour. We have a special guest joining us for the She-Hulk portion of the show. I'm not going to spoil it for you yet. I'm just going to make you wait. You're going to find out by watching us live or listening to the podcast all the way through. You know how we like to do it. Marvel news of the first half of the show, spoilers for whatever came out that week. With Marvel, there's always something every week. So this week it is episode 2 of She-Hulk, and we're going to dive into that in the second half of the show. But first of all, I do want to say thank you to everybody who keeps subscribing to the Phase Zero YouTube channel. If you're watching us live now, please subscribe. Also, shout out to Jenna for making an awesome Easter eggs video. If you guys are not watching those, you're missing out. There is some knowledge bombs being dropped. Jenna's doing a great job in the She-Hulk Easter eggs videos. So make sure you go check those out after you listen to or watch today's show and subscribe to the channel so we can keep having awesome surprise guests like we do today. And with that, the most important topic of them all, Jamie is going to kick us off with some really hard-hitting stuff here about the Marvel Cinematic Universe that we have to tackle this. We have to address it. Okay?
Yeah,
Jamie,
Brandon was gonna tackle this one, and I was like, "You're not gonna let me tackle the horny conversation." So, as we all know, last week we learned that Cap was not a virgin. Big shocker. And Brandon wants us to really talk about how the MCU has been horny for a while. That's Brandon Davis's words, and I agree with them. He's made a list that I would love to read off some of your lists, Brandon.
please read the whole thing. Go ahead.
Okay, we've got Steve in 1943. We saw the way that looking, those winky winkies ladies on the tour. Tony and Pepper and everything else that walks. I mean, they were the originals. We saw them dancing in that first movie. We knew what was going on. We got Thor and Jane and a wolf lady on a lady wolf.
And the
as reference
for it.
in the new movie. We saw what was going on from the first Thor. We saw his arms, and now we've seen her arms. We know what those arms are doing. Bruce and Natasha. We all know I'm a fan of them. I that's more of a longing, of a lust. We're not getting a connect, but they're there. We've got Hulk on Sakaar. We know he's doing something. There's more coming on that one later. Wanda and Vision, a literal robot, is doing things and creating babies. I know what that is. The future is now. And then Brandon, I like that he wrote this. Clint is married. What a good boy. But he's got 3 babies, so he's good at something. And then I love, though, that Brandon did not include the Internals, which is the one actual sex scene, but it's the most sexless thing Marvel's ever done.
That's right.
You're right. Oh, my God.
No, I think that's really indicative of how lame that moment is.
Yeah, that was a moment.
Yeah.
That was a moment in the MCU. Yep. Honestly, though, Druig and Makari are way more of a ship for me out of Eternals
100%.
than everybody else. And I don't know. I don't know what they've been doing. We can assume they've been around for thousands of years. So, if another character has been around for thousands of years, Loki. And Loki, I think Loki's doing everything and anything. Why not? So, listen. Everybody was shocked. We found out Steve Rogers was not a virgin, and that the birds and the bees do exist in the MCU. Listen. It's been right in our faces this whole time. They just haven't said anything about it. I just wanted that was the whole point. I don't know. I don't even know if there was a point here. I just keep seeing it. I was like, we got to find a way to talk about this. Let's list off every character in the MCU. Listen, Tony Stark, the first Iron Man, that man he had a reporter that fell out of bed. So, and then Pepper took out the trash, if you remember.
Oh, yeah.
Pepper Potts went full savage mode.
Yes.
Hey, I don't even know what there is to talk about this. I just thought.
I know. I had a thrill reading it. I'll tell you that much.
It's a hot topic, if you will. Everybody's doing it now, and
I'd like to say that Joshua in the comments have brought up Valkyrie licking her sword, but that was cut, so it doesn't count, and I am still mad about it.
Exist. Same here.
Yeah.
I will say, like, in the grand scheme of things, when you read off the entire list and when Clint Barton is the only one on here outside of Wanda and Vision who is like married and is a good, responsible boy, knowing like comic accurate Clint Barton, that is extremely funny because that could not be further from how he's often portrayed in the comics.
The messy divorce energy from his haircut in Avengers Endgame is more true to his comics depiction than anything else that's happened to Clint in the MCU, unfortunately.
Absolutely.
Also, all this is telling is we need a shipping spin-off show. We need MCU Phase Zero spin-off show where it's just shipping talk.
Top 10 ships.
Top 10 ships.
If
Jamie,
I can write a new fan fiction, a sexy fan fiction for every episode, that's my goal.
Oh boy.
Amon, share yours. Come on the show. Share your weird fan fiction.
Fastos found love in Eternals.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. I mean, what sucks for Fastos is that Fastos is dating a human man, which means that man's going to die. And Fastos is going to live for like thousands of years. Like that's tough. That's tough love to sign up for right there.
Way to like bum all of us out. Now that I'm thinking about that, I'm super sad.
Well, it's like, if you're an Eternal, how you can only, it's tough. Can you love a human? I don't know. If you're the Vision, you can love a human. But that's either way. Either way, it's tragic. It's going to be anyway. Yeah, the MCU has that going for it. Anyway, we want to talk. There's something else I want to talk about. This was a thread I saw on Reddit that I turned into an article on comicbook.com because it was a slow news week, if I'm being honest about it. And it ended up being a pretty interesting topic in the Phase Zero community. There was an idea for an MCU anthology series which would tell stories of Avengers level events from the perspective of like civilians on the ground. And the image for it was Kate Bishop as a kid in the penthouse of New York City, seeing Avengers Tower, seeing the Battle of New York. And that probably is my favorite scene of Hawkeye. Hawkeye's pretty good. My favorite scene was the first scene because I love the perspective of like, I just think it's cool to see like what would we think if the Avengers were flying around, crashing into buildings? What other stories could be told there in that sort of regard where you just see like Iron Man fly by, the Cap shield happen. I don't know, something like that. And I thought this was cool. So I'm going to pull up the ideas that I saw for it. Did you guys think of anything about what would be a cool story about like seeing the human perspective of a big Avengers level event in the MCU? Should an anthology series like this actually ever happen?
So I have an incredibly like specific idea, unsurprisingly rooted in the comics, which is I have been in the camp for like a year or so that it would be really fun to see Millie the model be in the MCU in some way because she was one of Marvel's first like romance characters. She was very much like the answer to Betty and Veronica of just like her little slice of life thing of relationships and having hijinks. I think it would be really fun to see that juxtaposed with the events of the MCU and also see like what does celebrity culture look like in the MCU when there are these big Avengers level threats happening that kind of take precedent over everything else. Like we're going to get that a little with Titania. We're going to probably get it with the Wonder Man show, but it would be really fun to see that from her perspective too.
I think Titania is going to be an interesting, like The Boys does this really well. They show what superheroes are like when they're famous and they're idolized and they affect the real world, and there's kind of ground level characters and stuff like that. I think it would be interesting to see the MCU start to do that with Titania. It's going to be interesting to see like an influencer. I mean, you could do like, what if you did like A Star Is Born in the MCU? I don't know.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like that would be interesting. There was a 9-episode suggestion list posted by Spicy Luna Dog 99. That's when you know it's going to be good. And the 9 episodes went like this. Episode 1's Battle of New York, which we kind of already saw. Episode 2, Shield's Downfall. Episode 3, Battle of Sokovia. Episode 4, The Snap Part 1. Episode 2, The Snap Part 2. Episode 6, Westview. Episode 7, Celestial Birth. I don't know how the Celestial Birth has anything to do with it because like that was in the middle of the ocean. Somebody just like be on a boat and then all of a sudden the boat just rocks over. Titanic. Oh, there's a finger sticking out of the ocean. Episode 8, Statue of Liberty fight / multiverse breaking. Episode 9, Khonshu turning back in the sky. Those last two are really interesting because you could think about like a character on the ground looking up at the sky and seeing the effects. I don't know if it does anything, but it's just cool to think about seeing that from the literal ground level.
Did I hear that list include Shield falling? Did you say that? Wow, because if you'd like to see a story about what would happen to the Shield agents when Shield, I've got news for you. There's 7 whole seasons of this great little show called Agents of Shield that tackles that very subject. So you keep that in mind, listeners.
Heroic, those characters are too good for this story. They're too super heroic. I think the Snap stuff could be really interesting. Like, what if somebody builds a business during the fall of the humanity disappears and they find a way to capitalize on it, and then all of a sudden people come back? Or what if they're a pilot and they're flying a plane and then they reappear in the sky.
That would actually be cool. I've wondered about that because Hulk, it was in his brain. Like, where did they just land? That would be cool.
I know the Russos said after the fact, they were like, yeah, and Hulk made sure everyone was safely on the ground afterwards, because that was a thing that we all were thinking about. One thing I would love to know with the snap is like, what if like your spouse gets snapped and you don't, and then you get remarried and then your spouse like snaps back, and then it's like the custody battle and the like marriage stuff with that. Like, there's so many like weird little like logistical things I would love to see them tackle, because it would just be so weird.
You go to Joe Russo and he talks you through it. What do you mean? He said you sit down with him, he talks you through the trauma of coming back and not having anywhere to live. It's you and Willem Dafoe sitting next to each other trying to reconcile that you don't have a place in this place anymore, right?
What's Joe and that one man he went on a date with going to do now?
I don't know. Listen.
Oh, wow. They're going to cry over appetizers again. When the salad. Yeah, the peak MCU right there. Oh yeah. Well,
when you said this had to be like a major MCU event, like I had both that idea of like the Marvel's like comic series, like the ground level like journalists taking pictures of it, and that of course that mutants thing would be so awesome. But like I have told like people my hope, like I know that they're not going to do this. We don't know what New World Order is going to be, but I would love if it was like a multiverse sort of weird like time heist thing where you had to send Sam back to the Korean War, and then one of the soldiers had like a camera documenting it, and he was traveling with Isaiah Bradley, and he had to be next to them, and he couldn't tell. It's like, I know you from the future, and then Isaiah is the Captain America that freaking Red Guardian fought in Korea because Russia was over there too, and Bucky's there as like a Black Ops behind the lines person, and some poor guy who got injected with the weird first generation super soldier serum is just like, I don't know what's happening right now. What is going on? There's a guy with a metal arm. This other black guy can fly. What's happening right now? It would be tremendous. But it's probably not going to happen.
Somebody hire Aaron.
I wish. I told Nick Valdez, who works with us, about this. He was like, just put it in an envelope. And when you run into Feige, just hand it to him. He's probably not going to open it because anthrax. But still, you could try.
Kevin, are you listening? That's actually I love that idea. I want to watch now, no matter what Captain America New World Order is. If it's not that, I'm going to be disappointed.
I'm just like, there's so many things that are just hanging out there that I would love to see. And I just want poor Isaiah Bradley to be like, give us the thing. Everybody, there's always so many shows. It's not in there. I don't have any pretense, Jamie. Like, have your Scarlet Witch trilogy. I know I'm not going to get my Isaiah Bradley show that's set in the past somehow.
You never know. Look where we are now. Look at this. Look at She-Hulk. Do we ever think that a show like this would exist? I don't never say never with the MCU, because they just keep on shocking us.
And at least it's not run by Warner Brothers. So we actually have a shot at things continuing. Woo. My goodness. Those DC release dates keep getting pushed back. Oh.
Thank goodness we're a Marvel show.
Yeah. That girl stuff has me kind of pissed off. I'm not going to lie. The funeral screenings. Let me see it. I don't care if it's not finished.
I'm going to go cry now. Now that you brought it up.
Anyway, Aaron's idea for Captain America New World Order completely just killed, like, just blows my idea for this anthology series out of the water. So I feel like trying to follow that would be a huge mistake. So just go read the article I wrote instead, because I'm not going to try to top that. That's a good pitch right there, and I don't want to see anything else.
I'm sorry I took the assignment a little bit too seriously, because I was like, this could work. It could be that we could have it all, but we can't.
All right. I'm here for it. All right, we're moving on.
Well, so speaking of movies that have come out and are continuing to come out, Thor: Love and Thunder will be streaming on Disney Plus on September 8th, which is Disney Plus Day. I realized we will have a show that day, so that'll be kind of crazy, because I'm assuming they're going to drop something or other that we will have to react to and freak out about. I'm already looking forward to that. And then Love and Thunder will be on Blu-ray and 4K on September 27th. There are already 4 deleted scenes that are being teased in that info, which is a scene looking for Zeus with Thor, Korg, and Valkyrie, Star-Lord and Mantis trying to convince Thor to help their cause, pause, Thor talking to Star-Lord and Mantis in battle, and Korg explodes in, and fighting for you, where Zeus gives Thor a special weapon. So what do we think about Thor Love and Thunder coming back out? I know, as we've said, we wish that there was a lot more in this movie than there ended up being. So what do we think of these deleted scene descriptions?
Not a single thing on that list is something that, of the 10, 15 things I want to see in that movie, none of them are that. But I do like that we're going to get some more Russell Crowe content because he's so funny. But like, I look at that list and I'm like, okay, sure. I mean, I'm going to buy it because if I don't buy physical media, these days, that's a danger zone. We need to buy all the physical media we can, people. But
Buy all the
that's my official statement.
Including Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, because Jenna Anderson's name is on the box.
Yeah.
So that's cool too. I was in Walmart the other day and I picked it up and I was like, yo, this has Jenna's name on it in Walmart. This is cool. Yes, Jamie, you nailed it. None of those scenes are scenes that I like. Russell Crowe's great. You see that area down there that looking like a stage? Go there. But how about the scene with Jeff Goldblum and Peter Dinklage? Fine. Those characters had to die. They had to have killed the Eitri and the Grandmaster in those scenes, and that's why they're not releasing them, because they would really shake things up in ways that like most people wouldn't ever see it. So Jeff Goldblum's Grandmaster gets to live another movie, maybe, if he makes the cut next time. But that's pretty crazy that those were not on that list. But also, I love a gag reel. I love a deleted scene. I'll watch these. There's a director's commentary track too, so that's. Have they been doing those?
I don't know. I think it's kind of hit or miss.
I listened to was Infinity War, but there may have been one since then. But that was a good one, and I don't know if I've heard any since then.
With how much Micah has been showing his carelessness for this one since it released, I'm really interested to see what he has to say on the commentary track. I can listen to Taika talk all day. He's hilarious. So hopefully he has some fun and valuable insights on this one.
And speaking of extra footage, we got more Spider-Man coming, y'all. So Spider-Man No Way Home, the more fun stuff version. How many letters can you fit onto a poster? How many people can you fit onto a poster? The movie is getting more stuff. We don't know what the other cut footage is. I know a lot of people, I wrote about it, are hoping that there's like a Toby and Willem Dafoe fight, a longer one. That would be dope. Or like more Matt Murdock, because obviously there was a trial at some point. Who knows? Like but there's more stuff coming. Brandon just said he was gonna go see Love and Thunder again with this new footage. I'm sure Brandon is gonna go re-see Spider-Man again with more footage. How's everybody feeling about it?
I mean, I have to, right? Like I can't have to go see it and then film it for everyone. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not gonna do that. No, but for 11 minutes of footage, I saw Spider-Man 3 times in theaters already. What's one more time with some new footage? It'll be fun. I hope the energy's there. I hope people are excited.
I think it's really bold to call it the more fun stuff version when this is the most depressing Marvel movie ever made. I've never been so gut-wrenched in a Marvel. I think the next time I watch this movie, I think is this, I'm just going to watch the second half because it's like, I just can't handle how sad it is. So to call it the more fun stuff, I don't know. How much more fun? Is that a lie? Am I going to cry more? I don't think I want to take that risk.
Yeah. I saw the articles are already popping up because some of the deleted scenes had Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire saying, we should do this again sometime. And they're like, yeah, let's do it. And they're like, oh, are they hinting at a sequel? And I'm pretty sure that's just hinting at this more fun stuff version being re-released, like do the movie again. But if they bring him back, we're all here for it. I love Andrew Garfield and Tobey as Spidey. So we'll see. But yeah, are you guys going to go see this in theaters?
I don't know. Maybe.
I think possibly. There was a lot of people when they got announced that were like, wait a second, like they released so much of the behind the scenes when the first movie came out with that giant featurette that you can watch on comicbook.com. I feel like I would have to hear about some real wildness happening. Like you'd have to give me like the courtroom scene. And I'll be like, okay, here we are again. Back at it at the Krispy Kreme. Let's do it.
So what you're saying is I have to go see it and tell you guys if it's worthwhile.
Yeah, you can do it. I'm more likely to go see Rogue One this weekend because Rogue One's coming back into theaters.
Oh, cool.
Very nice.
On IMAX. That sounds a little more appealing to me personally. I like No Way Home. I just I don't need to go see it again.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right, we got one more topic here. Aaron reminded us of this right before the show.
Yeah,
So,
I mean,
right,
so BD hollered at Michael Pena for secret headquarters on Paramount Plus, in his string of getting people to be like, I've been chided about this before. I can't say anything about these Marvel projects. So Michael Pena, of course, is in Ant-Man, and we're wondering, because we don't know very much about Quantumania except for Jonathan Major's very, very alarmed face, what if Luis is gonna be back. So he said, I don't know why people ask. I mean, you can ask, but I don't know why people ask, so he's not going to say. And that seems like a dodge. Does anybody think we're getting any of Scott's other friends back, or is it just going to be him and his daughter and Hope all kind of trying to figure out what's going on?
I'm chalking Luis up as a maybe at best because Kurt and T.I.'s character, they are not back. They have said they're not. So Luis is definitely a maybe. And also, Michael Pena, you know exactly why I ask about this. I host a Marvel show, and also at least 4 other websites picked up that comment and linked back to comicbook.com. We got to pay the bills, people. Got to pay the bills. And that him simply saying, I don't know why people ask about it, was enough to keep the lights on for one more day here at comicbook.com. So we're grateful for the patience, Mr. Pena. I think Michael Pena is a funny guy. So.
An Ant-Man movie without him the idea bums me out because he's just a light and a joy in those movies. He's so funny, and I will be. It's not gonna like ruin it, but it'll be sad if he's not in it.
I do think we are owed what we deserve more than anything in this life is Luis narrating like previously ons for all of the Disney Plus. Like episode 3 of She-Hulk should come with Luis being like, previously on She-Hulk, this guy did this and that, and then like it's mouthed by the characters, but he's just narrating it. Man doesn't even have to show up to set. Just put him in an ADR booth, let him lay down the audio, make the other actors, record the bits to line up with his recap, and it'll bring so much joy to the world. I think it would provide world peace, honestly. So get Luis in all these things, recapping all of it. I don't know. I think a lot of Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania is going to take place in the quantum realm. Footage we saw at Comic-Con really was very quantum realm heavy. I don't think Luis is making a trip to the quantum realm. So maybe he bookends the movie.
Yeah.
Maybe something like that. But I'll always take some Luis in my life. All right. Anybody else got anything they want to talk about before we move on to She-Hulk?
Nope.
All right. On that note, we're going to take a 1-minute break. Make sure you subscribe to the Phase Zero YouTube channel right now during the break. What else are you going to do during this minute? You need to run to the bathroom, do that, but also subscribe to the Phase Zero YouTube channel. When we come back to the show, we have a special guest from She-Hulk joining us live on the program, and we're talking full spoilers for She-Hulk Episode 2. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Phase Zero, Season 2, Episode 33. If you're listening to us in the car in podcast form, drive safely. We love you for it. If you're watching us live on YouTube, continue enjoying all of our beautiful faces. We're about to be joined by one more. I'm BD. We got Aaron, Jenna, and Jamie here. And right now, we have a special guest joining us live. You may know him as Father Gordon in the Conjuring movies, Carl in the Insidious films. He's in the upcoming Netflix film We Have a Ghost, which also stars Anthony Mackie and David Harbour. He's appeared in House of Cards, HBO's Watchmen, and if you're like me, you best remember him as Reg Monroe from The Walking Dead, which was honestly peak Walking Dead. in my opinion, my humble little opinion here. But now you're going to know him as the H and GLK and H. Holden Holliway himself from She-Hulk. Mr. Steve Coulter is live on Phase Zero.
Oh my God. Your theme song just about gave me a stroke. I was sitting here in your illustrious green room, which is upstairs, and I happened to look down at my phone, looking into what is left of my life, and I heard this bum, bum, bum. I was like, holy crap. It's time to make the donuts. So.
That's right. We make sure the audience and the hosts stay awake.
That's a good idea.
We need it.
So if I just seem to drift off or I go off on a tangent, just play that theme song.
Wired. Back in. Well, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us. Congrats on being a part of She-Hulk, big part of today's episode. First of all, I want to start at the beginning of this journey for you. The casting process. I know different actors have different experiences when they join a Marvel show. I'd love to hear, did you know what the role was when you auditioned for it? And was it your first time auditioning for Marvel?
Yes, it was my first time auditioning for Marvel. The like a lot of shows and films now, they disguise the name of the character. It ended up being from the script from one of the episodes. He was called Nicholson, I think, and I remember I said in the audition that they'd asked for, and then I forgot about it a little bit. And then I was down, where was I? I had to go down, I was down in the Dominican Republic shooting a movie. Life is really hard as an actor. In the middle of winter during the pandemic, it's like I had to go to and then I had to do a callback because they said, because I didn't know it was a comedy. And so I did it a little sort of heavier. And they said, well, no, think of it as it's going to be a comedy. Think of, they may have mentioned Ally McBeal or something. And then I think a day or so went by, and then I got a little thing saying, "Welcome to the Marvel Universe." So I was very tickled.
That's dude, getting a little thing that says "Welcome to the Marvel Universe."
Yes.
That sounds awesome.
And a bag of money too, which was neat. It was really kind of cool. It was like FedEx. It was like $350,000. I was like, okay, this is why people like being a Marvel. And then wake up, Steve. You're having that bag of money dream again.
the old Marvel dump truck.
Yes, that old chestnut.
Yeah, that old chestnut. Were you a big Marvel fan? Whether it was comics or I know there's 100 movies now.
Yeah, I grew as a kid. I was a huge Captain America fan, and as you may remember, well, you don't because you're like 12. There was actually I can't remember if it was a movie or TV show where it was way before any kind of special effects, whatever. And he had these little wings, these little plastic wings that went, and so the only way to see it was really the comic. And I had a Captain America coloring book, which was like I'm not exaggerating, prized possession. I just spent hours coloring in it. So I was mainly Captain America and Spider-Man. Those were my two go-tos. I got them every way. I would ride my bike up through the prairie into town. We'd go into town with Paul, and and then and I'd get my comic books, and I'd usually get a Mad magazine too. And
did they have electricity yet? Was there?
No, not yet. We were very excited though. We'd go back home and read it by the fire.
Pretty
of course,
cool.
I wasn't good at book reading, so Mama had to read to me.
I feel like I should just continue this line of questions, but we have to ask some other stuff. So when you got to the part of a script where you had to assign Jenna Case with Abomination,
yes.
Did you go back and watch Incredible Hulk?
Yes.
Did you ask questions?
Because I saw all those movies, but they didn't really. I don't think they stuck in anyone's mind too well. But I did. Yeah, I wanted to know exactly because I had to. The character had to know. Oh, I sound like Daniel Day-Lewis, like Junior Daniel Day-Lewis. Yeah, I had to go and watch a TV movie. It was very exhausting. But yeah, because I wanted to have an idea of. But actually, the Abomination stuff is actually pretty cool. So I did do my research. Should I just say yes or no instead of talking? Again,
No,
just
please,
play
please.
that theme song and I'll shut the hell up.
No,
We're
we
here to
love-
listen to you.
We're here to listen to you,
Oh,
Yeah,
right?
you're the man of the hour here.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
Well,
cool.
so-
Incredible Hulk is a slept-on movie in my opinion.
Yes.
Absolutely. Well, so going off of the topic of research, Holloway has his own very unique story in the comics. Like his granddaughter is a superhero and he gets like his identity stolen by a robot at one point.
Yeah.
Did you research that and have that in the back of your mind as you were filming this stuff, or did you just kind of go off of what was on the script?
No. I did. I did look up some of his history, and being an actor with an ego, I wanted to see what else happens to him, to see if because he has all sorts of little adventures. But I just did a kind of the same research I did for Walking Dead. I wanted to be familiar with it because sometimes you pick up little tidbits. And the fact that he had that history, he has an affinity. He's not just as was revealed in episode 2, spoiler, he does hire She-Hulk. Kind of, it's like cha-ching, but he does have a sympathy and an affection for that. And so that actually did help a little bit. So it's not just I hired her for this one reason. There's a little bit of a father-daughter kind of thing looking out for her. But mainly she's adding to the coffers of the law firm.
So you did some movie research, you did some comics research, but where does Holloway fall on the moral spectrum as a lawyer? Because he's a lawyer, and he was quick to accept the waiver on the conflict of interest and assign the abomination case to Jen. How would you describe this guy from like a lawyer point of view?
He's a really good lawyer. And I have the expensive suits to prove it, which was like one of my favorite things about playing. Seriously, it was like, oh my God, you do walk differently in $1,000 suit or $2,000 suit. But yeah, I think he's a good guy. He has morals. He's gonna make decisions that'll affect the bottom line. In that sense, he's kind of gray area because she's a huge opportunity. And as you'll see as the show continues, I keep telling her and asking her to do stuff that she doesn't do, and she keeps doing stuff that messes things up. Because that financially, he's willing to bend stuff. I think morally he won't. He's a good guy. So.
You used the term "really good lawyer," and I don't know if you saw Spider-Man: No Way Home, but there's a certain Marvel. One of the most famous Marvel lawyers the world has gotten to know so far is Daredevil, and we know he's coming to the show.
He's a really good lawyer.
Yeah, he is a really good lawyer. I know he's coming later in the show. What would Holloway think? Is that like competition? Did you get to meet Charlie Cox at all? Did you?
I didn't. I did not get to meet him, which is, that little fanboy. I'm a huge Daredevil fan. I love that show so much. I actually just rewatched. I think it was the second season. Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know if he'd become. I don't think it'd be competition because he's not. You should see my office. And then Marvel built an entire. I think because we were shooting, still in COVID, and they didn't know if they could have, locations would be dependable because if they got shut down. So they basically built the entire 2-floor interior of the law firm, and with real working computers, and it was astounding. What was the question? So I don't think he would not be competition because he has that little office.
That's amazing. They really built it. Usually, everybody who goes into these probably expects green screen now. There
is a lot of green screen, but not that stuff. A lot is practical, and it's just and it makes it so easy. I walked into my office, and it is this. I'm not kidding. It's the size of almost the bottom floor of my house, and I don't have a big house. It was just huge, and so all you have to do, you got your fancy suit, you got this huge office and a magnificent desk. It does a lot of the work for you, and it's really fun because you're playing dress up, and it's like this is my office. They spared no expense, and yet what's kind of cool. I was expecting. It's Marvel and Disney, so you're expecting this maybe corporate atmosphere. I've done some big budgety stuff where it was like, there's a lot of producers from the studio, and that wasn't the case. It was really, I've done a lot of independent film. The spirit on set was like doing an independent film. The spontaneity and the fun But it was just like an independent film with millions and millions of dollars. But
that old chestnut again.
yes.
That's cool.
Well, in any of the many drawers of that delightful, all the desks and like when Nikki goes, look at all this glass. I'm like, that's me. I'm like, Jesus, look at all this glass on the walls. There's like some real money going on here. Did they give you any access to the secrets for like any of the scenes? Like how much did they let you in on? Like did they let you in on anything that wasn't?
There's a lot you get mainly. This is except for probably Tatiana. You would get all your scenes for the upcoming episodes. And sometimes you get a whole script. So part of the fun, I was just out at the premiere and then we got to see the first 4 episodes. I didn't know what was in all the She-Hulk scenes. So it was just as a fan, it was really kind of fun to see. Cause they're under the Walking Dead was kind of, I got to see whole scripts on Walking Dead. A couple other things. I did Oppenheimer with, Christopher Nolan, and they only let you see your scenes.
No big deal.
So they
just throw that out there.
Honey, was that
Hold
good?
on, I gotta pick this up. I gotta. It felt.
Excuse me. Yeah, I might have. Oh yeah. Work with. There's Matt Damon and Cillian Murphy. Oh yeah, that's it. Yeah. Oh wait, Matthew Modine. Was he there? Yeah.
We don't have enough hour in this podcast to list the Oppenheimer cast.
Yeah, you would. He was like, Soupy Sales and Sally Struthers. Paul Lynn actually is in it, which was weird, but so.
My next question actually was, which was more secretive out of Marvel and Walking Dead? But you kind of answered that for us.
Oh. See, I try to anticipate. Oh, which was more secretive? Oh,
Yeah,
Marvel. Yeah. Marvel almost with Walking Dead, actors, you get a call sheet every, before each day. It has all the actors' names. And for Walking Dead, they had code names because that was this kind of the peak of the series. And people outside the set, like Alexandria, there were people camped out, with like telephoto lenses to see if Andrew Lincoln was in a bathrobe or had a beard or a derby or something. But they had code names for everyone's character. They didn't do that on She-Hulk. They had, Tatiana and the fabulous secret guest stars that you'll see later in the season. But I'd say Marvel's a lot more because we couldn't talk about it. Well, I guess, yeah. Well, they were both the same. I couldn't talk about it at all until a little bit when the trailer started. Yeah, they'll come to your house and take one of your pets. I think that's actually in my contract.
I was hearing you talk about how they built the office. Like I've been to the set, I've been to Alexandria, and for anybody who isn't familiar with Walking Dead, that is a full-on neighborhood that they built a fence around.
Absolutely.
And they built extra houses and they built the windmill event. Like that is a literal, it's all there.
Yeah, people live there. We were shooting the finale and it was at night and we had to stop because a FedEx truck came in and made a delivery, which was kind of odd in the Walking Dead universe. It's like that might be a spinoff, actually. The Undead FedEx store.
That's funny. Hold on, pause. We got delivery. Steve ordered a pop figure again. Uber Eats is here. Shut it down.
Jenna has a massive. I see behind her.
Yes.
In CNN they have books about Lincoln and stuff, but here it's an amazing collection you have. I've been ogling it. So very
I appreciate that. Well, so you did mention Tatiana, and I did want to ask, what was it like working with her on set, just as Jen first and foremost, and then as She-Hulk?
It's gonna sound corny, but she is. I've been doing this for 20, 30 years now, and hands down, she was the nicest human being I've worked with. And the show is told through her point of view, so she's in every scene. And never, long shoot schedule. We went from April to August of last year. Never complained. Was so kind and so funny, and very kind to everyone. For someone just showing up for acting for a day or background people. A lot of actors kind of stick to themselves, but she was ridiculously nice. And also, she has to, most of the scenes I'm working with her, she's in her She-Hulk thing. And so she either had to be in the motion capture suit, or sometimes she would have this, and she talked about this head extension. It looks like a mannequin head on top of the weirdest hat you've ever seen, so that we could have the right eye line for her. And yet she still acts up a damn storm. And just ridiculously, genuinely kind. And never, like I said, never complained. And I'm sure, she's working 16-hour days for, almost half a year. So she's pretty great. Would you want to really know what she's like? No. It's and I had become, again, what's fun about being an actor, and I hope I don't ever lose this and become a jerk. Of course, you'll be the judge of that. We still got a few minutes to go. Is that, because you grow up watching movies and TV shows, and you get, like Walking Dead. I'd watched it from the very first episode, and I had been a big fan of Orphan Black. Because I remember when I first saw it, I was like, who is this woman? And then getting to work with her is getting to play baseball with Derek Jeter or something like that. It's really fun.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So I want to preface this with, you don't have to say who, don't say who. The show is loaded with cameos, but did anything really excite you? Was there anybody who walked on set where you were like, oh.
Yes.
Ooh, I love it.
Several times. There's a couple. Yes. You'll see. It's pretty cool.
Nice.
Can't wait for that. So your character's launching a superhuman law division, which means a lot of heroes and villains could potentially come through. Yeah. Is there anyone who's not on the show that you would love to see come in and get represented?
The whole Marvel universe. I want Thor, and maybe if in some multi-universe, if Tony Stark and Iron Man could come back, Captain America, of course. I would love that. Even getting because Wong's on the show. Did I spoil that? Has he been on it yet?
He's in the trailer. You're okay.
You're safe.
So that was I was like, that's Wong. That's Wong. And he really does enter through actual sparks. That's not an effect. So it's kind of.
Now, I want to hear what it's like, because you've clearly met everybody on the She-Hulk show, or most people on She-Hulk. But you worked on We Have a Ghost, you worked on Oppenheimer, you've worked with Marvel actors elsewhere. And in those two projects alone, you got Downey, Mackie, Arbor, a few other people. Do you guys ever stop and swap secrets and give advice, talk about what it's like to be in the Marvel world?
I don't think so. No. I did with Anthony Mackie. My character in We Have a Ghost is the head of the CIA, and I kind of mess with him a lot. So I didn't really. Again, I'm going to sound like junior varsity Daniel Day-Lewis again. I didn't really talk to him apart from when I was the guy, because I like messing with him. Because his character is he's in the movie is great. He's very confident and full of himself, and my character comes right in and knocks him down. so he would have been, but a ton of things. I don't think so. I only had in We Have a Ghost. I only worked with David Harbour one day because our characters don't really cross paths, and he was off doing stuff.
And then the family tree pulls everybody into Marvel. You spend too much time with Mackie, and you'll end up, having cigars and whiskey and learning everything.
He's so fun. Yeah, he's just talk about energy. He really keeps the energy up on his set. He's just so happy to be there, and that's really because part of it is we're not doing. Space research or finding cures for diseases. We're making movies and TV shows. So it's not, it's.
Hey, it's got to have fun with it, because then we get to have fun with it too. We appreciate it.
It's supposed to be fun.
So as we let you go, we appreciate you joining Phase Zero. Is there one episode of the remaining 7 of She-Hulk that you're particularly excited for the world to get their eyes on?
Yes.
I can't think of a better way to end it than that, Steve.
There's actually a Marvel representative named Frank standing right here. Is that okay? Sorry.
I was wondering if that was like the Predator with those 3 dogs.
Did you see that?
Yeah. I just watched Prey, and I was like, that's crazy. They hired the Marvel snipers for a movie.
He keeps looking over at me going,
Well, Steve, listen, it's our absolute pleasure to have you on the show. Welcome back anytime. Congratulations on being a part of it. Can't wait to see everything you got coming as well. When I was putting your resume together, which titles to rattle off at the top of the show, I was like, man, this guy's done it all. So
I'm just an old guy. I got nothing better to do. Thanks for having me, guys. You guys are very, very nice.
Like, you're too kind. You're too kind.
You know a little too much about Marvel. If I was your mom, I might say, you need to get outside and play today. So get some fresh air, get out of your room, and put down your action figures and go play.
No, I need to get paid.
Grown-ups suck. That's like, yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us, man. You're free. If you close out the browser, we will no longer be able to see or hear you. We're going to chat a little bit more about She-Hulk after you leave. So you're free to go. We won't subject you to all of our Wolverine Easter eggs and the like. Thank you, man. I hope to talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks, man.
Thanks.
Bye.
Oh, what an awesome guest. He was great.
Yeah, amazing.
He's fun. He's funny.
Oh my gosh.
He should be our honorary co-host every time he's in She-Hulk. I hope. Well, maybe we could. I don't know. I think at some point we'd have to start paying him. But
I really like that he's just like, yeah, I'm an actor. My life is fun. Like I like that he's not like he's taking it seriously enough that but he's also like, I have perspective and I'm having a good time. And it was cool that he was like actually a fan and. That was fun. That was a good time, guys.
And just casually name dropping Chris Nolan, like it's nothing.
Bro, I'm just like, man, what are we doing with our lives? Our lives are cool, but we don't get to work with Chris Nolan every Tuesday. My goodness, that's pretty cool. All right, now let's go around real quick. We got a few minutes left to talk about She-Hulk episode 2 from our perspectives, us outsiders, the non-Steve Coulters of the world. What a legend! I'm riding high because that was a fun interview. We'll go around reactions real quick. Aaron, you're at the top of the screen. What'd you think of episode 2 of She-Hulk?
I'm continuing to enjoy it. I did not think we would start off right from like where episode 1 ended. Like the pacing on this is very brisk compared to some of the other entries. Like I'm digging that aspect of it. I am also in awe of. I feel like Ariel just on my shoulder, like. You need to watch all of Orphan Black so you can get more of this talent.
Yes.
You need more of this talent in your life.
Yes.
She's phenomenal as Jen Walters. So that's awesome. We met Ched. He's hilarious. He's very ridiculous. I have at least 3 Cheds in my family. So I was like, yeah, that's real. That's absolutely true. That's absolutely a fact. And the reveals, of course, were interesting. A lot of payoff. The last half of this was a payoff machine, and it sounds like it's not slowing down. So I'm excited to see what we're going to have.
I agree. Jamie, what do you think?
Oh my God, I loved it. I cannot put into words what it is like for me to see a scene between Tatiana Maslany and Tim Roth. I mean, that is just like my heart was bursting with joy seeing the two of them share the screen. I love them both so much. And Tim Roth being back after all these years, I'm so happy. And he's like, and I love what they're doing with the character. I'm like, yeah, you should represent him. Let's get him out of there. I was instantly convinced. And the joke about Edward Norton was right on the money. I cackled at when he added that literally was so good. Just so much funny. My favorite part of the episode, I can't not bring it up. If I started a new job and someone brought me a welcome basket and gave me a poop map, they would be my confidant and best friend for the rest of my life. And you know what? Everybody poops, and sometimes we don't like to talk about it. And in a job, there can be a dangerous spots where it's emergency, and you don't know. I don't know. I felt really seen in that moment.
Sometimes you just gotta find a Starbucks when you're on a road trip, and you know. But
it's so stupid, but I really was like, I loved that moment. And then I was like, that young man has a friend for life. My only complaint about this episode, and Brandon, this is kind of your fault. Last week you said that every single post-credit scene was like even better or as good as the Captain America one, and this one was like, she's just moving stuff. It wasn't like, it was fine, but I was expecting something more based on your tease.
I think I might have had recency bias based on the next one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just wait till next week. There has never been a scene like this in the MCU. But tune in next week to see which Avengers have been pooping throughout the entire MCU. All right, Jenna, what do you think?
I'm just like, people are going to take your quote about the episode 3 post-credit scene and like run with it and think that it's something crazy. It is crazy, but yeah. I love today's episode. It's a little too short, but the more that I rewatch it, the more that I find things to genuinely love about it. I'm so glad that Jamie brought up Pug's introduction, because like, as someone who has read his entire comic tenure, it was the perfect way of introducing his energy and his personality. Like, everyone is so endeared to him already, and I think it's perfect. And I think Josh is already doing such a great job in that character. This episode is just so much fun. All of the little references and Easter eggs that we're going to dive into are so much bigger than I would have expected them to be, and having them be introduced in such a casual way is like the coolest thing ever, and it's exactly what I want from this show. So I loved it.
I like this episode quite a bit. It's so different from episode 1. It moves the pace of the show really fast. I don't love that it's only like 22 minutes long with 4 credits. That feels really short. I really felt like I got spoiled by watching 4 episodes consecutively. But that said, I still think this episode's super fun. I also want to say, in the comment section on our YouTube channel, you will get banned if you're dropping stupid comments. We will ban you. If you're offended that there are female characters and you're actually hearing stories from a female perspective, you should get lost. This is not the place for you, and you're pretty soft and should take a shower. So yeah, this episode was. I mean, I just think the show is super fun, and it gets more fun as it goes. I thought the level of humor in this one was probably right where I wanted. I think it gets a little sillier in some of the humor coming up, which is a little too silly for me. But overall, I thought this episode was great. And there are some crazy Easter eggs, which we have to talk about really quick, because also I want to talk about the legality of Hulk movie rights, which I did some research on for a video that I want to squeeze into the show as well. It might be completely off, but I sound really smart when I talk about it, so I want to get to it. But first, let's talk about these Easter eggs. Jenna, you did the Easter eggs video. Did any of them particularly stand out to you?
So I'm going to be completely honest. I had watched these episodes 3 times, and yet I still missed stuff. Like Adam Barnhart, God bless him, noticed a thing on the screen when Jen is looking up jobs that aren't lawyer related, when she's looking up like being a mascot at a Swiss like amusement park. In the corner of the web page are 2 pretty big Easter eggs, which is they have a headline about a giant man sticking out of the ocean, which like, finally, cool, we're acknowledging that Eternals happened. This is the first time that we're actually acknowledging that giant celestial really existing. And then there's a headline that is basically a man getting into a bar fight with metal claws. So what do we think about that?
The PlayStation game is canon confirmed.
Yes.
There you go.
Yep.
Bub. It's got to be Wolverine, right? Like, come on. It's got to be. It can't be anything else. If it's not Wolverine, what is it? Why did it happen?
Yeah.
Don't do this to me.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm just waiting for Feige to come out of the woodwork and be like, it's not Wolverine. It's really something that's different. Because I just remember with Black Widow, like, I know this was accident, but I remember the Easter egg that you thought you found for Wolverine that ended up being nothing. And so it's the Princess Bar. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's I'm half expecting this to somehow be a thing, even though it's clearly intentional on the page. I'm half expecting Kevin Feige to pop up and be like, well, actually, that was a reference to something completely different. But I'm going to say it's Wolverine. I hope it's Wolverine, because that is the perfect way to prove that Wolverine exists in this universe, just on a headline on a webpage.
One of the only reliable pieces of Easter egg conference in the MCU is chyrons on news channels and scrolls and headlines. It's funny. MCU says traditional media is not dead. And that's where I hope that it wasn't in there just to do, because also you're going to have to hear from people if it's not actual Wolverine. If it's actually, like, I don't know, like a Ron Boner or something with like a bunch of butter knives in his hands.
No. Stop it. Don't you put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby. I will say I would wear the Iron Man 3s, the shoes that were above those news headlines in the ad. I would wear those. Abomination. Changed man. Do we buy it?
I do. The reason why I do is because we're here because Jen is a good lawyer, and she's like, that's the show. And I feel like if she gets duped in this main case, it's going to be really disappointing. But maybe that'll happen. But I trust. Maybe I'm just a sucker for Tim Roth. But I trust he's a reformed man. And that speech was really good. He's like, I thought I was just being a good soldier, man. And now the threat is a hero, and I'm in this cage. And I was like, okay, I'm convinced.
whatever he's saying is working on them 7 pen pals he has. Whatever he's saying to them.
I'm number 6.
I want to read his haikus. I'm like, can Marvel just publish a book of those haikus? I can only imagine how ridiculous they are.
We got the Zemo dancing cut, so if you get Twitter behind it, you know, we might actually get a look at those haikus.
Yeah.
And the last thing we need to talk about from this episode, Hulk goes off into space, presumably to Sakaar because it's a Sakaarian ship. This has to be launching World War Hulk, right? Or some version of World War Hulk meets Planet Hulk, because we only got a little tiny slice of Planet Hulk and some of the characters from it in Thor Ragnarok. Like Hulk, Jamie mentioned this off of that wonderful list put together by some genius at the top of the show about how Hulk has possibly been swinging that big green thing around in space and possibly was not wearing a Captain America shield. And that's kind of what he said, right? So he could have a son out there, right? Because that's Scar might be out there. Go on eBay and buy it now, because I'm going to buy that first appearance before it gets up in price. What do we think? World War Hulk story on the way?
I love how you're making this more difficult for yourself by having to say World War Hulk so many times. I loved your little outtake video, because that was the struggle. I had to say it once in my video, and I already was like, "Oh my god, this is a nightmare." So respect. But yeah, I think that's what we're headed towards. Mark Ruffalo has said enough already, where like he has not completely shut down the idea of it when people have asked him in interviews. So given his like spoiler barrier, that's more than enough for me. I think that's what we're headed towards, because I think it would also be a really cool way to like expand the Hulk mythos from here.
It seems pretty obvious. They've boxed him out from talking to Brandon, so they're obviously afraid.
I'm saying. So here's the deal. Here's the deal with the Hulk movie rights. If we were going to get a World War Hulk movie, this was dug up by a Reddit user, Vito Ard, and as far as I could tell, this might be the best insight to what's going on with Hulk movie rights. These are from like the SEC archives, which sounds really smart. I'm not exactly sure what it means, but there's like these really long contracts that if you read through them, Universal Studios has the rights to The Incredible Hulk. If you make a movie with Hulk in the title, they distribute it, they get money for it. Disney has to share that. Disney ain't going to share. Why share when you could just wait? Universal Studios has agreed to distribute Marvel's film The Incredible Hulk and sequels on essentially the same terms as those on which Paramount has agreed to distribute the other films financed and produced under the film facility. So they're under the same agreement as Paramount. Paramount's agreement says, Paramount shall have the right to exercise its Paramount distribution rights with respect to each picture for an initial period of 15 years, commencing on the initial theatrical exhibition of such picture. Blah, 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 blah. Paramount, you're saying, oh, well, how did Paramount not have the rights still? Paramount sold the rights back to Disney in 2010, I believe it was. Paramount's out of the picture now. They said, Marvel, who's going to watch that? Paramount Company, Phase Zero is, we love you, mothership. But so Paramount sold the rights back to Marvel. Universal did not sell Hulk rights back. So those 15 years would expire 15 years after The Incredible Hulk hit theaters, which was in June of 2008, which puts it in June of 2023, which means World War Hulk, June of 2023, confirmed, produced by Mephisto. I think. I don't really know. I'm not 100% sure on this. This is literally on sec.gov. So that's where those are coming from. I don't know if things have changed behind the scenes. There could have been new things. This was dug up by a Reddit user. I dove through and read a whole bunch of, I went full Jen Walters, read a whole bunch of legal jargon, tried to understand it as best I could. And that's what I landed on. That's what everybody seems to be landing on. June 2023 is when the rights would go back. I don't know. Things could have changed behind the scenes. If Universal didn't sell the rights back, it seems like a big L for Universal, right? Because they're just going to lose them. So I'm not really sure how it all works, but that's what it seems like. You can go find out more about World War Hulk and all that on the Phase Zero YouTube channel. SparkNotes version, Hulk gets exiled from Earth by the Illuminati. Maybe there will be a new Illuminati in the MCU. I don't know. He already left Earth, so it doesn't seem like he's going to be exiled. He finds his pregnant lady friend, Kyera. She dies in an explosion of the ship designed by the Illuminati characters. He gets real pissed off, goes back to Earth, wages war on the moon against Black Bolt, wants to take out Black Panther, Tony Stark, and Reed Richards, and it becomes World War Hulk. So it's an awesome comic by Greg Pak. They're also, Marvel Comics loves a little bit of synergy with the MCU. They're making a World War Hulk sequel story in an alternate universe, which starts publishing in November, I believe. So put that tinfoil hat on real tight and realize World War Hulk confirmed. I don't know if it's confirmed, but yeah. So yeah, that's all I got there, and I tried to go Professor Jenna on it and legal Jen Walters. So that's what I got.
Yeah, you did a good job. I agree with all of that theory. Like it's way too much of a coincidence otherwise that we're like starting to get more concrete Hulk teases and like Hulk family teases just as this stuff is happening. So like I believe it until we're told otherwise.
Somebody in the comments just pointed out, keep in mind the Hulk roller coasters in Universal Resorts Orlando and Hollywood are still going. There's no Hulk coaster in Hollywood, but yes, the Hulk coaster in Orlando is still going, and they can't. That's going to stay there. That is completely unrelated. That Universal Studios Orlando has full reign on the comics characters. They have already there. Disney can't do any characters in Orlando that are already at Universal Studios, I don't think. That's why it's Guardians of the Galaxy in Orlando and Avengers Campus in California. That I don't know. I know nothing about the rights beyond that. If they ever expire, anything like that, I just know
they're not going to take down those. Whole
yeah,
and also the Hulk roller coaster is my favorite roller coaster of all time. It's amazing. As a Floridian, I've ridden it hundreds of times.
Have you gone back and gone on the Velocicoaster yet?
No, I haven't.
Oh my God, Jamie! Road trip to Universal Orlando.
Yes,
I'm into it.
Jim, fire up the checkbook. We're going. We'll let you out of jail. You send us to Orlando we'll do an episode from the roller coaster. All right. We are way over on time here. Huge thanks to our new friend, Steve Coulter, for joining us. I'm sorry, but I'm just going to have the last word here. This was a great show. Aaron, Jamie, Jenna, you're all awesome. Richard, great job behind the scenes today. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Press like on this video. Share it with your friends. If you tweet a link, we will throw you the retweet. Just tag us so we see it. And that's our show. We'll see you next Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 10 a.m. Pacific for more Phase Zero.